Navy Veteran Justine Evirs is helping veterans earn admission to the best universities across the nation. Coming up next on Veteran on the Move.
Welcome to Veteran on the Move. If you're a veteran in transition, an entrepreneur wannabe, or someone still stuck in that JOB trying to escape, this podcast is dedicated to your success. And now, your host, Joe Crane.
The top 7 paths to freedom is my free gift to you for listening to the show, featuring 7 great ways for a veteran to take their first step into the exciting world of entrepreneurship. To receive your free gift, go to veteranonthemove.com, or if you're listening on a mobile device, you can text the word veteran to 38470. Justine Evirs is a proud Navy veteran and high-energy innovator, transforming the veteran community through the development of human-centered programs and policies that empower our nation's veterans to be tomorrow's leaders within different industries across the nation. Currently, she is serving as the Senior Director of Programs at Service to School. Service to School is a 501c3 nonprofit that provides free application counseling to transitioning service members and community college student veterans. The goal is to empower and assist veterans to earn admission to the best universities across the nation through peer mentorship and camaraderie. Justine Evirs, welcome to Veteran on the Move. Thanks for being here. And before we get to talking about business and entrepreneurship, sorry to cut you off there, take us back a little ways and tell us what you did in the Navy.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you for what you do. I think this podcast is extremely important, so I really appreciate it and very humbled and honored to be here today. So my story is not a unique one. I joined the Navy at 17, right outside of DC. I'm from Landover, Maryland. And I was attracted to the Navy because I was attracted to the military in general because I wanted to travel, I wanted to serve, and I wanted a steady paycheck, and I wanted to be a part of something, bigger than I. So I joined the Navy, and I was an undesignated fireman, which is pretty much like one of the crappiest jobs in the Navy. I had no idea what I was doing upon, signing up for the Navy. Huh. I had no idea, no guidance. I trusted everything the recruiters told me. I shopped around a little bit, but basically the reason why I went with undesignated fireman is because in the Navy, you can go in unrated and basically explore jobs, which is AKA you're going to do all like the grunt work and figure out what you want to do. So that's always been kind of my way of doing things, is jumping right in and exploring. So that's what I did. And just a couple of years later, unfortunately, I faced a medical discharge for an incurable disease that I couldn't serve any longer than 2 years. So my plan quickly changed, and I planned on doing 20 years. I didn't really have a plan B going into it. Right. So it was kind of tough for me to kind of soak all that in and have to deal with so many medical issues at the time. So it was a quite the challenge at only being 19 years old. So
yeah, no kidding. So what was that like walk us through your medical discharge experience and how that affected your transition and getting out?
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a matter of me trying to get what I needed to be properly supported outside of the military, as well as trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do next? So, as first generation college student, I was like, all right, I have this GI Bill. I think I'm going to go to college. Like, of course, I'm going to just go to college. And when I made my decision to go to college, I didn't know anything. I didn't take the SAT. I never took the ACT. College was never the plan. College, I didn't really know many people that, went to college, and it just kind of wasn't like a realistic option for me for some reason when I was younger. And so, I walked onto a community college. I actually took my first course while I was still active duty, because Tidewater Community College offered classes on base. And I kind of was like, all right, let me start exploring this now. And so that led to my decision on staying in Norfolk, Virginia upon my transition. I made the decision that I'm going to use my GI Bill. I'm going to stay in Virginia and keep my circle of friends. And, this isn't the path that I hoped for, but maybe I can do something with this. So that's what I did. And I stayed in Virginia, and I actually then became a Navy spouse. I met my husband shortly after transitioning out, or I think I was in transition, and been moving around since then as a spouse, which is quite interesting. So it's a different hat. I wear two hats.
Yep.
Yeah. So, through my journey through college and making every mistake possible, I became and just kind of exploring my career in different fields. I've been working in military higher education for the last 6 years, almost 7. And I've always gravitated towards it because I remember what it was like to not be able to make, not know the decisions and not know anything, and just kind of learning through trial and error. And so I've always just worked in different departments and different areas within the education system to kind of be, who I wish I needed. And I've always just been a huge go-getter and going to overachieve everything I do and try and provide the best service for those I'm serving. So I definitely still have that service mentality. I think I always have, even before the military. I was always very focused on customer service. I think it's the most important thing in the entire universe. It's actually now, as I get older, it becomes a huge pet peeve of mine if someone doesn't provide, even through the drive-through now. I get super irritated with people who don't even just say hello. So,
all right, I got a fast food drive-through quiz for you. In your opinion, from your experience, what fast food drive-through always has the best, happiest customer service?
Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely. Ding, 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 ding. I don't know how they do it, but everyone I've been to, it's by far better than all the others.
And what's funny? I used to work for Chick-fil-A, so I've fit in so well there. I think they hire a different kind of person. When I was a teenager, I worked there before I joined the Navy. I did.
Well, that's probably where it comes from then.
Yeah. And so customer service is just a really big deal to me. So fast forward to today, I recently have left the veterans. I was always working in veteran services and higher education, building programs, and, have always been very successful in that. But recently, this year, I found myself with a nonprofit called Service to School. And we're fairly young. We're 5 years old, and we're definitely still at that startup inflection point of kind of turning the curve. And what we're doing is pretty awesome stuff. We're basically providing free mentorship and kind of guidance on how to transfer into some of the best schools around the nation. So our main focus are transitioning service members who are looking to just go from active duty to a 4-year institution, or really in reality, our main audience are community college student veterans, because we found that those who go to community college for 1 or 2 semesters upon transitioning are much more successful and much more able to get into some of these Ivy League schools or top schools around the nation. So we focus there, and we found that the pool there is extremely large and untapped. I come from that space, working on the higher education side for the last 6 years. I know how untapped that area is. So now I'm excited to be with them and have found my way. And I'm in a really unique situation where I'm able to kind of put my own story and all of my professional experience over the last 6-7 years and now apply it to a young organization, building that foundation to fill some gaps of service within the transition process.
So basically, Service to School is just helping veterans navigate that process of getting into the tougher colleges or the Ivy League schools.
Correct. So there's a lot of transformational change. 5 years into it, we've seen that my favorite part of the job is that we provide our services to all student veterans, no matter what school you want to go into. because just filling out the common application can be quite a burr for anybody. And it's just always nice having a friend to ask questions, and it's always nice to just have someone that has gone through the process recently help you through the process. And when I say recently, our ambassadors, which are our mentors, are typically those who have just recently been accepted, and then they sign up to be an ambassador. So we have built our organization on the pay it forward model. So those people are usually really passionate and excited to help someone. And so the great thing is that when most of our students who sign up are really just looking for some just one-on-one help, someone to bounce some ideas around off. But what we found is that the way our process is set up, we actually are able to identify those who are applying. So for example, if you're going to a local community college, 9 times out of 10, that local community college counselor is going to advise you to go to whatever state school is down the road or within that state system. And so what we found is that because we know our veterans are, out achieving and outdoing all of our civilian counterparts and within the education system, 9 times out of 10, they actually have a lot more options that they're not being presented with, and a lot more options that might better serve them in the future. So we actually have such a diverse ambassador pool where they're actually being exposed to people who have gone to Harvard, Columbia, Cornell, MIT, Smith, Amherst, Notre Dame, and some of these schools they would have never even dreamed of going to. And it's always like, oh yeah, right. Really? You think I'm great? I could apply to Yale? And the moment when I go, yeah, I'm not kidding. Have you ever considered, applying to Yale? Mm-hmm. And their jaw just kind of drops.
Really?
Yeah. So that's my favorite part about the whole system and process.
Yeah. Well, hey, Justine, about the midpoint, so I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break for our sponsor. We'll be right back. Have you joined the Veteran on the Move Facebook group? I personally invite every guest that I have on the podcast to join the group. So the Veteran on the Move Facebook group is a great way to connect with previous podcast guests. Our Facebook group will keep you in touch with other veterans that are transitioning to entrepreneurship, and you will also get great updates and free guides on the people, programs, and resources that will help you in your transition to entrepreneurship. All right, we're back with Justine Evirs, and we're talking about the organization she's involved with called Service to School, where they're essentially helping veterans get into those top level schools, a lot of those Ivy League schools and schools that a lot of veterans just didn't consider themselves eligible for. So, Justine, a while back, probably over 2 years ago, at the beginning of my podcast, I remember interviewing a veteran, and he was saying that he always gives the advice to his buddies. He's like, if you just want to get out and go to the community college or something, for a semester just to feel it out, that's fine. But a community college is they're usually so inexpensive, and if it's in state, don't waste your GI Bill just on the local community college. Try out a semester or two. If you're going to use your GI Bill, go to a big school, and you could even go out of state or like what we're talking about, go to an Ivy League school. And a lot of these schools, he noted the yellow ribbon program, with the GI Bill. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you deal with this all the time, but with the GI Bill, if you go out of state or you go to an expensive private college, GI Bill only covers up to what the standard in-state tuition is. If the school is part of the yellow ribbon program, they'll jump in and make up the difference, is basically how it works if you get accepted to an out-of-state or one of those private Ivy League schools. Is that correct?
That is correct, but there's actually something that federal regulation that was just recently passed in the last year or two, which actually allows that if you are newly transitioned and you're using your GI Bill and you've transitioned within the last 3 years, you actually don't need to pay out-of-state tuition. So you are able to save even more cost. So it is more doable than it ever has been today, ever. And so it's really an exciting time because a lot of these schools actually want veterans, and they're looking to Service to School to find those veterans. And we're finding them, and we're doing it just by providing application assistance, essay review, and and kind of building a community of people who have done it before. And when I say we're at that 5-year mark, I think, once at this point that we're at right now, we have a really good system in place, and we're moving fast, and we're really looking to scale and start sharing this more with people because it's working, and the change that it's creating. I mean, when you take someone, who we're expediting the process. I always use myself as an example. Who cares? I was a first generation college student. I made every mistake, but I'm still ending in the same place as everyone else. It's just taken me a lot longer to get there. I actually just got accepted into Stanford Ignite program for this summer. It's a 4-week program. It's at Stanford. In a million years ever imagined that I would be at Stanford. But looking back on it, there's no reason why I couldn't have applied for a school like Cornell or a school like Yale or Harvard or Stanford. There's no reason I couldn't have put my name in that hat. You don't know what you know if you're going to make it until you try. And if I would have been able to one kind of guide me through that, and if I would have been exposed to maybe with a similar background as me that actually did it, I would have considered it. So a lot of us who have been out already for a while are going, man, I wish I would have known that. Or sometimes it doesn't really matter about the veteran status. It's more of just maturity and kind of looking back and realizing, man, I really sold myself short. I wish I would have known more. So that's what we're focused on, is just exposing the student or the veteran to more options.
Yeah. And like most people, if you got someone holding your hand, walking you through the process, it makes it so much easier to deal with. And just someone telling you, no, you could apply and actually stand a pretty good chance of getting into Yale if you really want. Just someone saying that, someone that knows what they're talking about, saying that, it makes a big difference. So,
absolutely.
How are you finding veterans? How are veterans finding your organization to know that this help is out there?
Yeah, right now, I honestly, majority of our new applicants come from either a Google search or word of mouth. So we're in the process of redesigning our website and really ramping up our social media and really ramping up our publication, writing more articles and really starting to get ourselves out there a lot more in 2017. I think there's going to be a big change in the next year as far as people knowing about us. I think those who have used us or know someone that's used us or know someone that works there. We have a lot of volunteers in our organization. We're very volunteer heavy. We don't have office space. We're a very, very, very lean organization. We're a nonprofit. We focus more on, we don't want office space. We want to focus on, providing our services to those no matter where we are. But I think the word is spreading, and we're at a really, really big turning point where if we continue on and make sure that we're using our time wisely, as far as like making sure we're still taking care of our applicants, but starting to focus our efforts in some of these outreach areas, I think things are quickly going to change. Because it's interesting. The moment I tell someone about it, they're like, oh my gosh, it's life changing. And so we have to do it, so we can start serving more people.
That's great. So, do you have any success stories, for the organization up to this point?
Oh my gosh, a million, actually. I would encourage everybody. I'm actually in the process of redoing our success stories right now, because we have a few on the website that are just like really amazing stories, as far as like, I was a Ranger in the Army, first generation college student, and I got into Dartmouth thanks to service to school. I would have never even considered these things if it wasn't for service to school. They helped me along the whole way. And so, yeah, we have amazing content, but if you go to our website, it's at the bottom of the page. So I'm really focused on website redesign right now, and broadcasting our success stories more, because we have so many, like a ton, but we're not really telling our story on our website the way that we should. So that's changing in the next 30 days. I think you're going to see a lot more success stories on the VA blog. We're going to start putting some things there, our LinkedIn page, our Facebook, and just really start getting into a good cadence. Those are the things that I'm focused on for sure.
Yeah. So why are these Ivy League schools, these schools that can pick anybody they want. Why are they interested in veterans? One thing is, the GI Bill is there, and the GI Bill can be very lucrative for colleges, of course, but because it's almost guaranteed money. So I'm sure that's part of it, but there's got to be more.
But they don't really need it.
Yeah, because especially the expensive schools.
Absolutely. I think people are recognizing that. I think the diversity of a veteran student brings to the classroom. When you think of an Ivy League school like that, more than likely they're a traditional student, 18 years old, right out of college. When you have a room full of, when you're thinking of it from a faculty perspective, the reason why you want to have more veterans in your class is because first of all, the veteran population is mini America. It's male, female, all races, ethnicities, cultures, you name it, we have it. So when you tap into our population, you automatically have a more diverse population. But secondly, when you insert that non-traditional student who, actually at this point, sometimes maybe even the same age with some of these younger veterans, but have experienced so much more, I think we're educating our classmates as well. And I think that vice versa. So I think when you have a mixture of the type of student that's in the classroom, the environment changes. And so I often hear a lot of student veterans say, well, I don't fit in. I feel out of place. I hate this. And I try to encourage them to look at it differently and say, I understand that this is frustrating. Trust me, like no one wants to sit in a room full of 18-year-olds, but at the same time, you have to understand that the value that you bring to this classroom is tremendous. The value that you bring to this classroom to educate even your professor on what it's like to be in the military in a respectful and positive way, you're a game changer. And while we're always focused on, the military, the veteran population is 1% of the population, that's not going to change. We are the minority, and it's our responsibility. It's, for us to sit around and wait for the 99% to figure us out, it's just not going to happen. And in reality, we have to embrace the things that make us different and use it for good. And so that value that you bring to the classroom is amazing. And the same thing will happen when you get to the workplace too. And so, I think the admissions offices are realizing that and see the value in that. And they're also seeing that the most successful students are the student veterans. Some of the best students are student veterans because their ability to focus and that rigorous academic environment, veterans can handle that. That whole misconception that veterans aren't smart and, they joined infantry because they didn't have any other options is not true. It couldn't be more false. Right. It's not true. And I think people are figuring that out. And so, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when a veteran comes to you guys, what are some of the first things you do with them? Just explore what their options are, or is there a lot of testing involved, or? Oh,
no. It's very casual, actually. So right now the process is you would actually just go to serviceschool.org and you would sign up as, we have 4 departments. So we have an undergraduate department, MBA department, a JD law department, and then an other graduate department. So we have ambassadors in all 4 departments, and we focus a lot on the undergraduate department because that's where majority of our applicants fall. And that's where literally the majority of our mission is really to focus on those undergraduate students. So once they apply, they'll receive an automated response saying, hey, welcome, thank you. And it's actually going to be from me. And they'll get a calendar invite link in there, and they have to schedule a 15-minute orientation with me. And we'll review what their goals are, where they live, what do they want to do. And I really just take notes on that. I will review some unofficial transcripts. And that's usually when the moment of have you ever considered applying to, some of these Ivy League schools is the conversation that we have. And then from there, they're paired with their ambassador. So then I pass them on to other colleagues, and we get them paired with an ambassador, and then check in with them throughout that time. And really, we would just work with them. If they're a part of our VetLink program, so we have a partnership with 8 schools, 8 Ivy League schools actually. And if they fall into that program, then they tend to work with an ambassador and a staff member as far as making sure that, because there's just so much more work that gets involved. There are a lot of Ivy League schools that we work with that aren't in our VetLink program. And so the same goes there too. It just kind of depends on the needs of the applicant.
Wow. So you actually have prearranged relationships with, you said 8 Ivy League schools?
Yeah. And we hope that that's actually looking to not double, but we're hoping to have about 6 more schools on board before the end of the year. Yeah. So when we say, have you ever considered, applying to Yale? Typically what will happen is we'll put together a little informal email that's like real information. We have a relationship with them.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's key.
Yeah.
Talk about, networking your way into a school.
Well, I mean, that sounds great, but they these schools there's no, they have to earn it.
Oh yeah,
sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, that initial, there might be an open door, or the door might be partially open at least, compared to starting from scratch.
Absolutely, because there are a lot of schools out here now that they'll get a red flag on their profile if they see that they're working with Service to School. That's like one bonus. A lot of these admissions officers are like, oh wow, yeah, they're working with Service to School, then we know they got their stuff together. So
interesting,
it definitely is. We've created an environment where things are shifting right now for sure. And we need to get the word out because we got good things going on, and we need more people taking advantage of it. And really that's it. The end goal is just to promote, the schools, get into the top schools. It's not a secret. If you go to these top schools, your alumni network is amazing. And really at the end of the day is we're building and contributing to building tomorrow's leaders. And I mean, all that goes back into our economy, and talk about the return on investment for the post 9/11 GI Bill. It's huge, and no one else is doing this right now. So I'm very excited to be a part of the team.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Justine. Fortunately, we're getting close to the end of our time here. I did want to give you one last chance to do a shout out for service to schools. So go ahead, and where can we find you guys? Make sure we get the website correct and begin the process if somebody's interested.
Yeah. So the first things first is you just want to go to service2school.org, and you can apply for our services. If anybody has any questions or concerns before applying, please feel free to find me on LinkedIn, Justine Evirs, and message me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. My email address as well is justine.evers@servicetoschool.org. And that's the number 2 in there. And just find me and we'll discuss it. And there's really no reason why you shouldn't apply. Once you apply, it takes 5 minutes. You're in the system and you're going to get, linked into our community. You can message me at any of our social media channels. I'm one of the people that, keep a close eye on those. So I'm easy to find and happy to answer any questions. I know sometimes it can seem a little intimidating, and just kind of maybe talking to somebody before you hit apply will make a difference. But also keep in mind that all of these services are completely 100% free. So that's that. Thank you for having me today.
That's great. Absolutely, Justine. Thanks for being here and sharing what a great resource for veterans that are looking to hit the school scene when they get out. So thanks for being here and sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. All right. These 2 veterans are Oscar Mike. As you can tell from listening to the Veteran on the Move podcast, interviews are a great way to tell your story and spread the word about your business. If you would like to get booked as a podcast guest, I recommend Interview Valet. You can check out Interview Valet at veteranonthemove.com/valet. Be sure to check out Thrive15.com, the world's premier online education platform that helps entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and intrapreneurs learn how to start or grow a successful business. Start your free 30-day membership by going to Thrive15.com and use the promo code VETERAN. Thank you for listening to Veteran on the Move, your pathfinder to freedom. If you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes. Reviews are always greatly appreciated. So until next time, this veteran is Oscar Mike.